Mr. Levran, I hear you speak, and I'm hearing it kind of circular, right? I've done no wrongdoing. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a mean person. I apologize for what I did, but yet I really never did anything. I didn't mean to come from a bad place. Please forgive me. I truly do not believe that as you stand here right now, you feel that you have done anything wrong. I find your behaviors and what I've read in this report to be sociopathic in nature, and that someone who is functioning in their everyday life for all these years practicing medicine and figuring out the best perfect ploy that you can hide behind this medical degree, that you can engage with these hockey associations, that you can then, through that, gain trust through these parents who are working hard, they're sending their kids to play hockey, they're doing everything they can, and you're the person that stands there with open arms. Don't worry about a thing. I'm going to take care of your child. Whatever they need, guess what? Come visit me at my house, in my basement, no charge. Mr. and Mrs. such and such, don't worry about it. I know you're busy. Don't come. Just drop them off. They're in good hands. I've got them, all right? And every single time you got away with it, you became emboldened to continuously commit the crimes against these children and young men. You had them exactly where you wanted them to be, and you took advantage of it. And everyone in the world thought so highly of you. You're physician such and such, you're associated with these hockey leagues, and everyone believed you. And you were playing the perfect part. And even as you stand here now, I'm not a mean person. I didn't mean to do anything wrong to these people. Have you read the statements in the pre-sentence report as to what these people said? 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys coming to you for an injury where you ask them to get naked, where you're showering with them in the nude. It's very convenient for you to buy that hockey ice time or the ice time on a Friday night, pay for it, buy them alcohol, but everyone's got to shower together in the nude. And even as I look at you, I've observed you in court several times. This is the first time me and you get to have this conversation. You constantly acted as if you were somehow superior, that when anybody makes a statement about your wrongdoing, you mumble, you speak over people, you don't like it, you don't want to hear it, you don't want it to become a fact, because somehow you've convinced yourself that you're the most intelligent person and everybody else is wrong. Well, guess what? You pled to 28 charges. You are now a convicted sex offender. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you are unable to harm one other person. I don't think I'm ever going to get across to you to fix you, and I don't think that you'll ever be rehabilitated. Personally, if I had the option to do it, I would sentence you to 3 life sentences, because that's what you deserve. The court is going to depart upward from the guidelines 625 FH, and that's count 1, count 2, count 5, count 8, count 9, count 10, count 17, count 18, count 19, 001 FC as to count 1 and count 2, 770 FH, that's count 1, and 939 FH as to count 1. The departure rationale is that the defendant exploited victim's vulnerability. Although that is already scored in an offense variable, the OVs certainly do not take into perspective that an individual would use over the course of his medical term and practice, using his physician's license and placing him in a position where he's perceived in a trustworthy manner in society. Certainly there's no statutes or case law that support something like this. We often score exploiting victims' vulnerability for the size of the individual who would otherwise be convicted of exploitation. Here, it certainly is at a much larger scale. Although the defendant expresses a great deal of remorse here on the record, the court is left to weigh the defendant's credibility throughout the course of the proceedings. And and specifically even one of the victims had mentioned in the pre-sentence report that during her time testifying at the preliminary exam, the defendant also refuted under his breath and mumbled and said things discrediting that individual. And the court had observing that at the time of the plea. The court, as it said, is not convinced that the defendant is remorseful. The court finds that the defendant has no appreciation of his wrongdoing. He refuses to refer to the victims as victims within his pre-sentence report, somehow still engaged in his mind that these acts could be consensual, although he was the medical doctor and they were the patient. He's emboldened to make comments regarding continuing practice of the medicine in a different country. This wasn't elicited, it wasn't asked. It was just, hey, just so you know, you're not going to be licensed to practice here anymore. But does that mean I'm not going to be able to practice in another country? That indicates to the court that he would, in fact, have plans to continue practicing outside of the United States. His conduct towards the victims while testifying, as the court noted, is absolutely absurd and disgraceful. Simply, Mr. Levran portrays that his statements and nonverbal behavior, that he's done no wrong, that his behavior is, this court finds to be sociopathic in behavior, and assuming that these boys and men, under the guise of medical professional, participated in these actions. So with that being said, I'm going to deviate above guidelines. That's the rationale for the court's guidelines. The court needs to indicate that for the record. But before I issue your sentence, Mr. Levran, I will tell you, you are the reason parents lie awake at night and then evenings in their beds worried about where their children are. You are the reason. You are the monster. You are the monster among us in society. You're the person that everybody should have feared, but didn't know it, and it was right in front of their face. So when you walk away from here, all you've said in your PSI is, I've served, I've done service, I've been this doctor, I've traveled, I've done good in different countries. That is not who you walk away from this court, all right? You walk away here a predator, a pedophile, and a disgrace to the medical profession. That's exactly who you are. Therefore, it is the sentence of the court as to docket 232-85625FH, criminal sexual conduct, third degree force or coercion. It's the sentence of the court that the defendant serve 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. He will receive his 749 days of credit. The guideline range here, 51 to 85. The court articulated the reasons for departure. 232-85625 count 2 is 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, 749 days of credit. As to count 3, that's the fourth degree. It's 1 to 2 years MDOC, 749 days credit. Count 4 is CSC in the fourth degree, 1 to 2 years MDOC, 749 days credit. Count 5, criminal sexual conduct, third degree. It's the sentence of the court that you serve 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections with a credit of 749 days. Count 6, criminal sexual conduct, fourth degree, 1 to 2 with 749 days of credit. Count 7 is a fourth degree, it's 1 to 2, Michigan Department of Corrections with 749 days credit. Count 8 is criminal sexual conduct, third degree. It's the sentence of the court that you serve 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections with credit of 749 days. Count 9 is a third degree. That's 120 months to 15 years. MDOC, 749 days credit. Count 10, CSC, third degree, 120 months to 15 years, 749 days credit. Count 11 is it's a CSC third, 120 to 15 years, Michigan Department of Corrections, 749 days credit. Count 12, criminal sexual conduct, fourth degree, it's 1 to 2, MDOC with 749 days credit. Count 13 is a fourth degree, that's 1 to 2, 749 days credit. Count 14, also fourth degree, 1 to 2, 749 days of credit. Count 15 is criminal sexual conduct, third degree. This is 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections with 749 days of credit. Count 16 is a fourth degree. It's 1 to 2 with 749 days of credit. Count 17 is criminal sexual conduct, second degree relationship. That's 120 months to 15 years with 749 days credit. Count 18 is criminal sexual conduct, second degree, 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, 749 days credit. Count 19, criminal sexual conduct, second degree, 120 to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, 749 days of credit. Count 20 is a fourth degree, 1 to 2 is 749. 21, fourth degree, 1 to 2 is 749. 22 is a fourth degree, 1 to 2 is 749. Moving on to file 001 FC, criminal sexual conduct, third degree. It's 120 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Here we have 88 days of credit. 001 FC is to count 2, third degree. It's 120 months to 15 years, 888 days credit. File ending in 771 FH, child sexually abusive activity aggravated. It's 120 months to 25 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, 209 days of credit. Count 2 is child sexually abusive material aggravated possession. That's 80 months to 10 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, 209 days credit. 939 FH is child sexually abusive activity, 75 months to 20 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections with 208 days credit. 939 FH is child sexually abusive material. That's 2 to 4 with 208 days credit. All files run concurrent amongst each other, and all counts run concurrent to one another. It does appear that we have DNA on file, and we've got a crime victim right fee of $130 per docket. There's going to be no contact with the victims: GW, DA, NN, JC, RC, JB, NP, BM, CI, JC, AG, IG, JN, and probably the hundreds more that we don't know about. Restitution is $14.96, $136, and that's for file 625. 001 on 136. 001 is 136. 770 is 136. 939 is 136. We're going to comply with STD testing. We're going to store a lifetime registration. You do have the right to file an application for leave to appeal with the Court of Appeals. If you can't afford an attorney, the court would appoint one for you. You have 42 days to make that request. Mr. Jones?
Your Honor, I have had him initial and date each. There's 4 total for each one. Do you want me to e-file? You want me to, however you want me to present it? But it's been done.
So the record will reflect.
Yeah,
all right. Anything else for the record?
Nothing from the people, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.